Okay, it's game time. Hasta luego.
What up, it's Shankster94, and welcome to Resident Evil 5 HD Weapons Review. Now once again, if you've been my subscriber for at least a year, then you'll probably know that this is a remake of an original review I had. The reasons of remaking it are the same as my last remake of Resident Evil 4 Weapons Review. Video quality and quality of content. So, what's gonna happen in this one is, basically, it's going to be exactly like Resident Evil 4. Go through all the weapons, start with the knives, grenades, etc. And then the firearms, and they have upgrades just like Resident Evil 4, and we'll review them the same way. First completely non-upgraded, then completely upgraded. And of course, I'm going to incorporate my usual style of weapon reviews. Depending on the weapon, I'm going to shoot it a minimum of 3 times, and the third shot will be slow mode. And if there's any explosions whatsoever in the video, I'll use my awesome reverse effect as well. And of course, just like I've been doing since the very beginning, I'm going to test all the weapons with both a male and a female, since they hold and fire it differently. But in this one, there might be more than 2 shots of the weapon, because this here is Sheva Olimar, and she is the first character in the Resident Evil franchise to be left-handed. She's on the right side of the screen when you aim weapons, and since she aims it with her left hand, her reload animations are a little different as well. So, Chris and Sheva will be guaranteed testing all the weapons in the game, but in some cases you will see me test weapons with more than just them as well. For example, the first handgun, the M92F, Jill can also use that in Lost in Nightmares. And she's a female, but not left-handed, so she does it differently than both Chris and Sheva. So just the little things like that. But other than that, this weapon review is going to go exactly the same as my original review did, as well as all the reviews I've done up to this point. So prepare yourself and enjoy Resident Evil 5 HD Weapons Review. Alright, let's get this awesome HD weapon review rolling. Now, I'm going to do something I didn't do in the original version. I'm going to introduce every weapon from this screen, the records, where it shows the usage and the accuracy of all the weapons, and provides a close-up, detailed picture of each weapon. So the first weapon is the one I always start with in all my weapon reviews, the knife. Alright, now I don't know if there's a damage difference between all of the knives when it comes to enemy testing, but I really don't want to take the extra time to find out. So I'm going to do the enemy testing with only Chris's knife. So let's test the knife on a standard Magini. I'm going to test it on professional mode, because if I do it on professional, then you know for sure that whatever amount of shots it takes for each weapon, it's not going to take much more than that throughout the game. And in any other mode, it will for sure take that or less. So, that's why I'm going to test it on professional. And also because of my original version, I tested it on professional, so I don't feel like changing it up. Alright, so just to clarify that, let's test the knife out. Alright, so 19 slashes with a knife to take down a standard Magini in professional mode. There's another reason why I'm not going to test the knives with any other character, because in the Mercenaries, there isn't a difficulty you can choose. I know you're saying, well, then you can still test it with Sheva and Jill because they have their own game modes with a professional mode setting. The fact of the matter is, if there is any difference, it's not going to be much. So it is not worth testing other knives on enemies. Alright, so that is it for the knife. Alright, I'm going to let you guys know now so you don't have to ask questions later. All of the weapons I have right now that I'm going to review in a second, these are all infinity mods, so each one of these weapons is infinite. It would make it easier to review. I got these through Modio 3.0, so Google that. Don't ask me what is that, you can look it up. You could also get these mods through somebody else through the game, so just to clarify that. Now for the next weapon, the flash grenade. A hand grenade that explodes with a blinding flash. Momentarily hampers enemies' movements. Alright, let's test it out. Alright, so once again, this isn't necessarily a killing weapon. It's mainly used to stun your offenders, but it can be used to instantly kill parasites that may have spawned, specifically Cephalo's and Devolios. It could also be used to instantly kill those little tiny spider things called the Capepo. Anyway, let's test the flash grenade out, both stunning and killing wise.
I need your help!
Alright, so there you go. Use it to stun enemies. So if you ever have a big ass crowd like this one, you could really get out of a jam if you're out of ammo for any particular reason. Alright, that is it for the flash grenade. Now for the next grenade, the Incendiary Grenade. A hand grenade that explodes into flames upon impact. Slows down attackers as well as inflicts damage. Alright, now let's test this one out. Alright, let it burn! Let's test the Incendiary Grenade on a crowd of Majini. Alright, so yeah, use it to burn your offenders and, like, give you plenty of time to escape or to stomp all their heads off. Alright, that is it for the Incendiary Grenade. Now for the last grenade, the hand grenade. All three grenades from Resident Evil 4 make a comeback. A powerful hand-thrown explosive device, effective against groups of enemies. No shit. Now let's test this last grenade out. Explosion. Alright, now let's test the hand grenade on a crowd of Majini. Holy shit! Alright, so this one area I just tested all the grenades at, all three grenades were tested on the same crowd. I didn't restart the game. So this one area is a great place if you want a lot of enemies to kill, for any particular reason. But anyway, the hand grenade, it's a fragmentation grenade, of course. Obviously, anybody standing right on top of it or next to it is going to get blown to smithereens, while anyone else near the blast radius is just going to go simply flying. Alright, that is almost it for the hand grenade, but I'm going to show you a little special thing you can do with a hand grenade at a very specific spot in Chapter 5.1.
Eat this.
Alright, now for the next weapon, the proximity bomb. An explosive device that can be planted on the ground. The device is set off by enemies in close proximity to it. Alright, now this is new to the Resident Evil series, and this kind of is the only time it shows up. In Resident Evil 6, it is replaced by the remote bomb. But anyway, let's test the proximity bomb out. Alright, now that was a massive explosion, especially since I chained them up all like that. But I'm only going to test one on a Majini, so you can demonstrate the proximity part of it. Alright, so the proximity bomb is a great weapon to use to lay an explosive trap for enemies. And it's a pretty powerful weapon. You could use it for more powerful enemies, and a couple bosses even. But it doesn't come along very often. It's a little rarer than regular grenades, so stock them up if you want. They can be stored in your inventory. Alright, that is it for the proximity bomb. Now for the next weapon, the egg. Now just like Resident Evil 4, even though this is primarily used for health purposes, you could still equip the eggs and use them as a weapon. Now in Resident Evil 5, they introduced the rotten egg. And this is the one to throw if you ever come across it, because if you try to eat it, it will damage you quite dramatically. So this is the one to throw. It's just the white eggs and the rotten eggs I would recommend throwing. The brown and gold eggs I would keep for health. But anyway, let's test the egg out. Now the three normal eggs, the white, the brown, and the gold, I highly doubt those can be used to kill enemies. However, that new rotten egg, why I said it was great for throwing, it kills regular Majini in one hit. It's crazy when you think about it. So it's kind of a cool weapon to have. It's also worth the most money though. But anyway, I'll show you hitting a regular Majini with a rotten egg. So like I said, the rotten egg kills Majini instantly. So it is actually a pretty good weapon, to be honest. On the other hand, it sells for a lot of money. So, depending on the way of life you live by, will depend on how you use the rotten egg. Alright, that is it for the egg, as well as all throwing and melee weapons.